Hey friends, happy Sunday and welcome back to another week of What's for Dinner. If you're new here, hello and welcome. I am Taylor. I'm a stay-at-home wife and mom, and I share these What's for Dinner videos every Sunday to hopefully give you some new meal ideas and to motivate you to cook more for your family. This past week was rough for us. We were sick, so there's a lot of just like dinners where we're just trying to survive and eat what we have, eat soup, that kind of thing. But there's quite a few good recipes in here as well, but they're towards the end of the video, so I hope that you will stay tuned for that. But let's go ahead and get into this week's What's for Dinner. Friday night, Andy and I had wings from Wingstop. First time ever ordering from there. And I had filmed like me talking while I was showing you this food. But I just wanted to film over that, record this voiceover over that, because we did not like the food. Like, it felt like there was no seasoning on any of the chicken besides like the sauce, like garlic and Parmesan on the garlic Parmesan wings, no salt and pepper. So they were just kind of bland. And so were the mild and the hot wings. They just felt like they had hot and mild sauce on them, no salt and pepper, nothing. So they tasted very bland. We had cheese fries and some carrots and ranch, but this ended up making us sick shortly after this. Both me and him were not okay, and it was definitely like food poisoning or something like that from that food that we ate. But then me and the kids also had cold symptoms on top of that, so we were just out for a couple of days. Saturday night we had chicken noodle soup. This is just simple Campbell's chicken noodle soup, and then some Cheez-Its with that. The kids actually ate this, and then me and Andy tried to eat some a little bit later when we were feeling hungry, but it was honestly really hard for either of us to eat anything for almost 2 days. Like, we both like sipped on some of the broth and tried to get some crackers down, but it was very hard to eat any food for a couple of days. So Sunday, because Andy and I still were having stomach issues and I did not feel like cooking dinner, the kids said they wanted cereal for dinner. So we were like, great, that's fine. Y'all can have some cereal for dinner. Monday night, I was finally feeling well enough to cook and eat, so I made this chicken cilantro wonton soup that I have been wanting to try. This uses some ingredients from Trader Joe's, so I am starting off by heating up a little bit of olive oil in my pot, and then to that I'm adding a little bit of snap peas and some seasoning. I added some salt, some pepper, some garlic powder, and some minced garlic, and then I just let that saute for about a minute or two. And then I added in 1 container of the Trader Joe's miso ginger broth. The recipe that I was following said to do 2 containers, but I tasted the broth and it tasted really gingery, which I didn't think my family would be a fan of. So I ended up filling that container with water and then adding in some of the Knorr chicken bouillon powder. And so it was basically like half of the miso ginger broth and then half chicken broth. And then I brought that to a boil. Once that came to a boil, I stirred in some shredded carrots and then 1 bag of the Trader Joe's cilantro chicken mini wontons. And then I let that cook for 2 minutes. After 2 minutes, your wontons should be done, and then you can just turn off the heat. And then I added 1 tablespoon of soy sauce and then some green onion, and then this was ready to eat. There were some suggestions to serve it with some of the Trader Joe's crunchy chili onion stuff, but honestly, because of having stomach issues previously, I didn't really want anything spicy, but I think in the future I would add that on there. I think it would be really good. My family did not care for the snap peas in there. That was just me trying to put a little vegetables in there. But they did love the soup. They loved the wontons. They loved the broth. We had some pork egg rolls on the side, which these are not our favorite. These are the ones from Aldi. I do prefer the ones that I can get in a big box at Sam's Club. But I did not have any of those. It was the kids' first time actually eating egg rolls, and they did really like the Aldi ones. I also gave them some of that Trader Joe's gyoza like sauce to dip the egg roll in, and they really liked that. So yeah, that was dinner for Monday. We all really liked the soup. Tuesday night was just a simple family favorite, which is spaghetti, but I did do it a little bit differently because I made some spaghetti squash. So I just start off by cutting my spaghetti squash in half, and you scoop out all of the seeds and just do that for both sides. And then I'm going to get them in my Instant Pot. I like to put my trivet in my Instant Pot and then add a cup of water, and then I put the spaghetti squash on top, sprinkle it with a little bit of salt and pepper, and then I get my lid on the Instant Pot, and they cook on manual high pressure for 7 minutes, and then you do a quick release. Super simple and easy. So after you do the quick release and all the steam is released, you can just take off the lid, and then you can use a fork to kind of shred the spaghetti squash. Super easy. It's definitely the quickest way to make spaghetti squash. I used to make it in the oven, and it would take like 45 minutes to an hour. So the Instant Pot, even with the added 15 minutes of coming to pressure, is definitely faster. So then I just made, usual meat sauce with some marinara, and then we had regular spaghetti noodles as well. None of us really care for just the spaghetti squash on its own, so we do half noodles, half spaghetti squash. Wednesday night, I made a shepherd's pie. I have made this recipe before. It's delicious. I think last time I made it, though, I actually made it with beef, which is technically, I think, a cottage pie. And for it to be shepherd's pie, I think it has to be made with lamb, which is what I'm using this time. I'm using ground lamb. If you don't like ground lamb, use ground beef. This recipe will still be just as good. So I'm starting off with 1 pound of ground lamb, and I'm seasoning it up with a little bit of salt and pepper. I'm actually using onion salt instead of regular salt because I didn't feel like chopping up an onion this night. Still getting over sickness. I needed super simple and easy, so I just left out the onion. And to make this super easy and less cleanup, be sure to cook your meat in an oven-safe skillet, like a cast iron, so that you can just put this directly into the oven when it comes time to bake. Otherwise, you have to transfer it to a baking dish, so use an oven-safe skillet. For my mashed potatoes that are going to go on top, I actually had these in my freezer, and I let them thaw out in the fridge all day. And so they're already seasoned. We had these, I think these are from Thanksgiving. So they're already seasoned well. I just added a little bit of heavy cream to make them a little bit thinner and easier to spread. And then I added some Parmesan cheese. Once my meat was done browning, I added in some minced garlic and let that cook for about 30 seconds. And then I'm going to add in my saucy mixture. So I'm adding in 1 package of Lipton onion soup mix, 2 tablespoons of Worcestershire sauce, some red pepper flakes, and a cup of beef broth, and then I give that a good stir. And then I'm going to add in 1 can of mixed vegetables that I drained. You could use frozen veggies in this if you want. My family just prefers canned veggies or fresh veggies, so I am using canned, and it turns out great, but you do what your family likes. So I get that all combined, and then I let it continue to cook for about 5 minutes. Then I'm going to turn off the heat and take my mashed potato mixture and just spread it over the top pretty evenly. And then I take a fork and just run lines through the mashed potatoes to kind of rough it up because it browns better that way. And then this went in the oven on 350 for about 40 minutes. As I mentioned before, I have made this recipe before, but I think I only made it before with beef, and it was definitely better this time with lamb. If you haven't tried lamb before, I would recommend it. It's got a different flavor. I suggest trying it at least once. I'm pretty much ready to try anything at least once. And we really like this. Elijah was upset that there wasn't a lot of leftovers, and he was like, "You should make this every week. I love it. It's the best thing ever." Next up, I have this sausage and white bean soup to share with you. This is another recipe that I have made, but I think last time I made it on the stovetop, and this time I made it in the crock pot. So I started off by browning 1 pound of sausage. You could do Italian sausage, but this is just a regular, like, log of breakfast sausage. So I browned that up, and then I transferred it to my crock pot. And then I'm going to add in some onion powder because I didn't feel like chopping onion again. So I'm using some onion salt. I'm adding in some rosemary, some Italian seasoning, and some pepper, and then some minced garlic. And then I'm doing 4 cans of white beans. This was, I believe, 2 cans of cannellini beans and 2 cans of Great Northern beans because I was just using what I had on hand. And then I did 4 cups of chicken broth, or 4 cups of water, and 4 teaspoons of the Knorr chicken bouillon. And then I did 2 small carrots that I peeled and kind of like chopped up kind of small. And then I added in 4 strips of bacon that I cut into small pieces. This is just some leftover bacon from breakfast. I don't think it was quite 4 strips, but it's what I had left over. And then I stirred that all together and then cooked this on low for about 6 hours. So after the 6 hours, I just went in and made sure that my carrots were tender. And then I went in with a potato masher and just tried to mash up some of those beans. You don't have to do this, but it does help like make the like broth a little bit thicker if you mash up some of those beans. So I just mash up a few of them, then I give it a good stir, and then I stirred in 1 cup of spinach that I chopped up, or just like I roughly like just tore up the spinach. And just let that sit for 5 to 10 minutes so the spinach can wilt, and then it's done and you're ready to serve it. And this was delicious as usual, and we served it with some crusty Italian bread on the side, and there was leftovers of this the next day for lunch, which were just as delicious. Definitely a really good soup. But that is going to be it for this week's What's for Dinner. I hope that y'all enjoyed it. If you did, make sure you leave me a thumbs up down below, as well as a smiley face in the comments if you made it here all the way to the end. And let me know in the comments if you plan on trying any of these recipes that I shared with you this week. There will not be a What's for Dinner next Sunday because it is Christmas. So I wanted to go ahead and wish y'all Merry Christmas. I will have some videos up this week, but I'm going to push the What's for Dinner until next Monday, so the day after Christmas is when you can expect another What's for Dinner video. I hope y'all have a Merry Christmas or Happy Holidays, and I will see y'all in the next one. Bye!